Still waiting for the stream to pop up on YouTube though. But at least it's up and running. There it is. Took your time, YouTube. But the stream's up, the chat's up, we're all good to go. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 18 of the Transnation eSports America's Sunday Championship. We are here at the Suzuka International Racing Course, a 3.6 mile, 18 turn racetrack first opened in 1962. It's been a part of the Formula One calendar since 1987, but the first ever Japanese Grand Prix was all the way back in 1976. It actually provided the epic season finale to that season, that epic battle between James Hunt and Niki Lauda for the Drivers' Championship. 1987 though, Suzuka has pretty much been a staple in the Formula One calendar, hosting every single Japanese Grand Prix except for one, I believe, up until that point. That was back in 2007, where it was held at Fuji International Speedway. It's quite a racetrack. It's the only figure of 8 circuit on the calendar. It's sometimes a drive. It is quite flowing, very technically demanding, old-fashioned racetrack. It's got some beautifully flowing corners, but it's a very brutal circuit as well, where it punishes you for even the slightest mistake. But couple that with the unpredictable weather of Japan, get a pretty decent concoction for some fairly good racing. But alongside me, once again, for tonight's race is Michael Garone Jr. Michael, it's a pleasure to have you alongside me once again. Are you keen for this race here in Japan?
Yeah, always keen for an iconic racetrack like this. Obviously, turn 1 is going to be pretty interesting. Throw in the mix of weather, folks drive for qualifying, but so we'll have to wait and see what we got for the race. But yeah, high skill track. First sector is really tough. You're going to find a lot of guys may have a little bit of trouble through there, and yeah, it's just 27 laps of pure focus around here.
Speaking of which, Sig Hang in the Ferrari, losing the back end at Dunlop Corner. That won't be the last time we'll see that, as he does a bit of rallycross at the exit of the first Egner. But yeah, I find this one of the more technically difficult circuits.
Oh, and Matty's out.
What's happened here? He's just crashed at turn 2.
He's crashed on the exit of turn 1.
Oh, okay.
Or turn 2.
Yeah, turn 1 is the sort of that flick right-hander just after the pitch straight. But okay. I wasn't expecting a retirement this early into the session, and at turn 2 at all places. I would have thought it would happen somewhere like turn 7, like what happened to Sig Hang. You touch the inside curb there, you're pretty much guaranteed to spin the car around. You really do have to try and avoid that curb. And the first sector, very fast, very flowing. Touch any of the curbs on the inside, pretty much guaranteed to spin. Or at least lose the back end. You have to try and catch it. But I wouldn't mind seeing the weather report. I'm sure it said something in the chat. Oh, wow, Christopher has just crashed at the exit of Spoon. But no rain. Okay, so it will be cloudy at the beginning, but no rain forecasted. Forecasted at the very least. We don't know what the game is actually going to do. Just have to wait and see. There are already 2 retirements. Only 5 minutes into the session. Is this a circuit that you particularly enjoy, Michael? Or is this one of your bogey racetracks you really don't enjoy driving around?
It's a tough one for me. One of the tracks that I do tend to struggle on. Funny enough, we're usually the regional schedule and the national schedule aligns where we race at a track in regionals first, but since the schedule shakeup. We actually did nationals on Saturday night for me, and qualifying pace was not very good. Race pace was pretty decent though. Felt really strong about my race pace, so I find it's very hard for me to hook up a quali lap. Just so much commitment required to put together a good lap here. But in the race, I feel a little bit more comfortable, and it's a track that has great flow. Every corner kind of just smoothly flows into the next, so you can't really complain on that aspect. It's not a Tilka track, so
no.
Good in my books.
Yeah, exactly right. It's got some originality to it as well, which I find to be quite a nice aspect about the racetrack. It's completely different almost to any other racetrack on the Formula 1 calendar, really. There's not many that require so much flow and rhythm as Stuart Leslie jumps to the top of the table. On the medium tyre
as well.
Oh, Joker does a 27.7 also on the medium tyre.
It looks like Zach's also out on the medium.
Let's have a look, see. A few drivers on the soft tyre. Hock and Rob Hadley currently on the soft compound. Same with Dustin Howe. He's coming through the Degner curves on the soft. I just flick it to fitted. On that medium compound tyre, what would you prefer to start with here at Suzuka? Would you prefer to start on the medium compound, just in your own opinion?
Yeah, I mean, we tested it. Ooh, as Zach has a big moment on the exit of the second Degna. We, a couple of us kind of tested it a little earlier last week, and we found that both strategies are pretty even, and you really can't go wrong with either. It just really depends on what you want to do. I started on the mediums in nationals, and it opened up the second half of the race for me pretty well because I was among the quickest drivers in the field, being on a fresh soft set compared to older mediums. So it just really depends on what part of the race you want to set yourself up for. An early safety car would hurt quite a lot, I think, if you do start on the mediums, but I think the pace difference when they're both fresh is about 5/10, so there's really not much margin in it, and I think you could put a good race together on either one.
That's very true. Is the hard tyre at all a viable tyre around here at Suzuka?
So the hard will get you to the end safely, starting on the soft. But yeah, this is one of those tracks where the soft medium's possible with some management, but I think it's management that's worth it. Just because the hard is a little, I wouldn't say they feel bad, but you could definitely feel the pace difference between the medium and the hard. But yeah, it's kind of like a Bahrain where soft hard does work, but soft medium can work if you do a little bit of management. I believe China might be like that as well. Those might be a little more extreme examples, but this one's not too tough. If you could get to lap 9 or 10 on the soft set, you could easily carry the medium 16 or 17, 18 laps.
Fair enough. No, I've had some mixed results here at Suzuka. In previous games, I must say, this was definitely one of my least favourite racetracks, for sure. That notorious bump, as Marybus has retired.
I was going to say, was it because of the bump? Yeah, it looks like in the first sector.
Yeah, just after turn 3. That bump at the final corner was a complete nightmare for me, and so was the first sector. From last year's iteration to this year's iteration, have you started to like Suzuka a bit more? Because I certainly have. I enjoy this iteration much more than with this not having that stupid bump coming through the final corner. Do you find this track just a little bit easier without it?
Yeah, the bump definitely makes this track a lot more bearable. I remember last season in regionals, I actually, on the final lap, coming to the finish line, the bump almost caught me out. I had a race that I wasn't super happy with and kind of just wanted to get across the line and really just stopped paying attention coming around that final corner, and I felt the vibration in my controller, and I looked back up at my screen and my car was pointing towards the wall, and luckily I saved it and got it across the line. But yeah, that bump being gone definitely does help a lot. The first sector I feel is a little bit more easy to drive and push really hard through. But yeah, it's still really slippery. Dunlop, like you said, that inside curve is unusable. Even turn 3, the rear end gets really light, and you have that sense that it just, you never really get that confidence in the rear of the car, and you always feel like it's going to snap. But I think it's nice to have a circuit that is challenging, but not too challenging, right? You want to have a circuit that is challenging enough to where it's fun, but not to where it's impossible to drive around. So
that has to worry about around here with flow, hitting your apexes, all that rhythm sort of stuff that you need around here. You also need a bit of bravery because there isn't too many overtaking spots around this racetrack. Pretty much the only overtaking spots you've got is heading into turn 1 using DRS, and probably the hairpin turn 11, now called Kobayashi Corner after his performance in 2012. Other than that, there isn't too many. You might be able to get it done at the chicane, but making a move there makes you vulnerable on the pit straight, particularly if you time the overtake wrong. So yeah, it's a very, very technically demanding circuit for the driver. So hopefully we'll see good displays of driving for tonight's race, as we're now starting to get towards the pointy end of qualifying here, so we best pay attention now with 5 minutes to go. Got T&E Hawk currently on top of the standings with a 1 minute 27.4. His time is the time to beat. Honda is yet to set a lap time. Our current championship leader yet to set a lap, because I'm actually not too sure. Oh, very wide. Oh, and Stewart's into the wall. Oh dear. He's crashed into the wall coming out of the second Degner. Gets a massive amount of front wing damage. Oh dear, oh dear. So he'll have to come back into the pits and get that front wing changed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did see him have that little moment there. Commonplace to slip up when you're really pushing hard for a good quality lap.
Is there something going on with Andrew Honda? Because he's still yet to set a lap time. He hasn't even left the pits yet. Has he got...
I'm not sure. I know that tonight he has a very good chance to close the championship up. Maybe making an attempt to start at the back, maybe?
I don't know. It's very, very strange not seeing him at least do an sort of benchmark time, just to see where your pace is relative to everyone else. Oh, as Black Raiders. Oh dear. That's at the exit of the hairpin. How on earth did you get there?
Ooh. Spun the rears up a little too aggressively.
Must have. He must have lit up the rears at the exit of the hairpin and did a nice 180 into the wall on the inside. It's the only way I can think of him crashing like that. Rob Hadley currently purple to the second sector, according to the game at least. He's coming through the final chicane, heading through the final corner of turn 18. He'll open the DRS up to the line, does a 1 minute 28.1, jumps up to P7. Justin Laprade currently on a lap, currently 5th place as well with a 27.8. If he improves by nearly a tenth of a second, he could potentially have a crack at the top 3. Justin, I haven't seen him have too many decent results in the recent past. I know he's a very, very quick driver. Just hasn't had luck on his side. Perhaps he might be able to turn it around here in Japan. Coming underneath the bridge, yellow flags. apparently.
Yeah, I know that Justin has he switched to the wheel. I think after Spa, I want to say, or maybe after Hungary and starting at Spa. So he's definitely, you can definitely see those small amounts of improvement. I think even tonight, him to be all the way up in P5 after, like you said, a couple weeks where he's not really shown his normal form. It's got to be promising for him. It looks like he's a little down on this lap, but definitely looking a lot more comfortable.
We'll see what he can do. Coming around the final corner now. 6th gear, 7th gear, up towards the line. It's a 1 minute 28.1. He doesn't improve. But it looks like he's going to continue on with the lap, or a second flying lap. Trying to come through the first sector. This will really test out his skill with the wheel coming through the first sector. Just trying to get those steering inputs just correct, to try and nail those apexes, and to try and not touch that inside curve there at turn 7, which he does so successfully. But he's massively down in the first sector, so he will not be improving.
He's going to back out.
Joker does a 26.6, a fine lap
Joker
time
up
there. Stewart is now on a flying lap, currently 4th place, a man 2nd in the championship. Honda is still in the pit lane, and he's not got enough time to set a lap time, so he will be starting 14th on the grid here at Suzuka, which isn't exactly the best place to start around the racetrack. Oh, Stewart! And he almost follows the Renault. That's a massive moment. Oh my word! Off the racetrack
inside curve at Dunlop.
Oh, there was a Renault off the circuit.
And he's gonna.
Wow.
Yeah, he actually will start on the mediums because of that. So I don't know if that's what he wants.
Oh yeah, there you go. 4th place on the medium tyre. And with the session ending, it seems like no one's going to try and challenge Joker for the top spot in qualifying.
Yeah, I think the only one left on a lap is Damien in P9.
Coming through Spoon Curve right now. Current best lap time is a 1 minute 29.2. He needs to improve dramatically if he wants to crack a pole. Second sector split is promising though. He's up by 7/10 of a second. He might be able to beat his teammate here for P8. He can maintain that sort of pace. Up and towards the line, it's a 1:28.4. He does beat his teammate, who will start in 8th place.
That's Sean down in P9. A little off form for him. I know he's literally just getting home. From work, I would presume, so I guess not a lot of time to practice his first laps on the game for the day, but definitely not the best place to be for a turn 1 like we're gonna have.
No, oh dear God, no. You don't want to be in that midfield at the beginning of the race. At
no.
Worst place to be for sure. But the man in the best place, Joker in the Renault. It's a Renault 1-2 actually at the top of the standings. And they're both starting on different tyres on the softs and mediums, so that'll be interesting to see how those two play out in this race. Dustin Howe starts in 3rd place, a decent qualifying from him, with Stuart Leslie in P8, Sean Yarborough in P9, Black Raiders rounding out the top 10. 3 drivers did not set a lap time in that session. One of them, the championship leader himself, will start from 14th place here at Suzuka. I'm not sure what his game plan is. Perhaps he's just trying to enjoy himself. I don't... Oh, dear me. Very overcast.
That is pretty dark. Yeah, so if we look at the standings for Sunday, he's 122 points ahead of Stuart Leslie right now. So effectively, even if Stuart wins, he only needs to score 3 points tonight, and he would effectively win the championship. So I guess trying to have a little bit of fun.
Perhaps. Well,
I think going
you
into
have
this,
to factor in fastest lap as well. So there's 4 fastest lap points with that. So he needs to score, I think it's about 7 points actually.
Yes, so
to be properly crowned champion, because it theoretically, in no way is this logical, but Stuart Leslie could win the next 4 races, gets fastest lap in all of them as well. He could mathematically take the title then. So, but yes, it's most likely that this championship will either be wrapped up tonight or probably the next race at Kota. So, but drivers now take off on their formation lap. Looking at the tyre selection, it's a bit of an interesting one. We got some different strategies going on, as we can see. Hock and Stewart, starting in P2 and P4, are on the medium tyres as they qualified on them, but outside the top 10, only 2 of them are starting on the soft tyre, with Marybus and Tia Marino. Christopher, Andrew Honda, a championship leader, and Matty Elliott, who's starting from the back. All of them are on the medium compound tyre. Do you feel like that's the correct course of action, starting towards the back?
Yeah, I think definitely for somebody like Honda, because he knows he's going to have that pace advantage over the guys in front of him pretty easily. And then if you're Matt, for sure, because he's going to be able to. We always talk about if you do the alternate strategy, you got to keep your nose clean the first couple of laps. So he's right at the back, and he could kind of sit back and be patient those first couple of laps and let the race come to him. And even Christopher in 13th, if he takes the same approach, he could find himself in a good position. I think if you're 11th and 12th, that's, I guess, the right call. They're going to be somewhat in the mix for this start, and obviously you're going to want to give yourself a chance to make up some positions on the softer tire the first couple laps.
And also by selecting the medium compound, you do have the hards to fall back on if you do get into some sort of accident that destroys your front wing early on. At least you have the hard tire if you want to continue with the one stop. So it's not be all and end all with the medium compound. You do have a backup plan in your back pocket if you need it. So it'll be very interesting to see how these. Oh my word! What has happened here? There's been an accident of some sort at the final corner. I believe that was Black Raiders.
All right.
Yeah,
on the I saw him off at the triangle. So.
Dear me. Hopefully we won't see something like that in the race. Although here at Suzuka, don't really know what to expect. What are we going to see on the opening lap? We have 5 red lights. And it's lights out. And away we go here at the Japanese Grand Prix. And Joker gets a fantastic start.
Bit of contact in the back.
Here come the midfield, 2x2, very wide there, one of the Alfa Romeos. But everyone gets through very cleanly, I must say. That's one of the best turns one I've seen here at Suzuka. I haven't seen any contact whatsoever. But now through the first sector, drivers have to negotiate these tricky curbs. But it seems that everyone gets through okay. Now turn 7, Dunlop curve. No, this hasn't caught anyone out either. Everyone's got their... Everyone's doing very, very well to just give each other just enough space to not crash into each other.
Honda's on the move already, up to P12.
Up 2 positions. Overtaking Christopher and Raiders for P13 and P12. Oh, hello, what's going on here? Oh, off the racetrack. Is that Marybus going into the tyre barrier at Spoon? Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
he's went way off. He's gonna go to the back of the pack. And Stu is making a move on Dustin already.
130R.
Oh, and he took 130R, so shallow he had to lift.
Through the chicane.
He moves up into P3. It's actually effective P1 for him when you take the reserves out of it, so.
Got Preds on the back of Justin LaPrade coming through turn 1. He doesn't go for an overtake quite just yet. But everyone staying calm, doing a fine job at the moment. I'm really surprised by this. I was expecting some sort of action lap 1, turn 1. You typically do see it, but now we got something. The two Ferraris! Both Ferraris are off. Oh no! The teammates have taken each other out. I see end plate all inside the gravel. We've got end plate missing on Hanks. Oh, and Sean's gone into the wall at Dunlop Curve. Those tyres completely shredded. Overheating, I imagine. Oh dear. Comes back onto the racetrack. He has to be careful, can't go too quickly. Otherwise he'll just end up in the wall again. But he's well behind the pack now. Both Ferraris in a lot of trouble, it seems, on lap 2. Not looking good for them at all. Rest of the field looking
Honda,
okay.
after 2 laps, is already up to P8. Maddie's actually... so Chris and Maddie have made their way up as well. They're sitting P9 and P10. So they've cleared all the soft runners. And now his Honda's on the back of Rob Hadley.
Going into turn 1. Then after this is very much follow the leader sort of stuff. There really isn't any overtaking opportunities in the first sector. Just about maintaining momentum and not making mistakes. The first sector through Dunlop Curve. Oh, and an accident.
Oh, and that's Matthew Martin in the Mercedes.
He's
got
again.
some wing damage, so it's gonna have to crawl around for a whole lap here.
Oh dear.
And Sean's gonna retire in the pits.
Oh, I don't. Lap 3 of 27.
Yeah, you'd hate to see somebody give up that early on, but same time I understand the frustration.
Yeah, I do get it, but sometimes you just have to tell yourself to keep going because you just never know what just might happen. Particularly so early on. We might see a safety car that brings everyone back into contention. So,
is Honda gonna try and move at the triangle? Yes, he is. Going in.
Oh, wow.
And he made that look pretty easy.
Honda off the racetrack as well, Honda.
He's out in the grass.
Not doing himself any favours here. And he slots in behind Rob once again. So he's got all the work to do to get past the AlphaTauri. Oh, he sticks his nose there, down the inside of 2. Doesn't work though. Stays in behind through the high-speed S's in the first sector. 2 Renaults, meanwhile, are having a ball, just pulling away from the rest of the field. Ooh.
Maddie's made it around Christopher for P9. Zach already 3 seconds worth of penalties, so looks like he is kind of staying consistent with his teammate, but that 3 seconds not going to help his bid. Dustin actually was Black Raiders after that whole lap. Gets speeding in the pit lane. Dustin's actually not falling too far behind Stu right here. On a little bit quicker tire as of right now. Yeah, he's even pulling quite a gap to Justin LaPrade, so good to see Dustin in a good spot here.
Holding his own at the moment. Keeping up with Stewart.
I think Honda's going to try the same exact move. Rob kind of defends.
Rob coming down the pitch straight away, opens DRS, nullifies the effect that Honda has. So even though he's got a lot of speed underneath him, he can't make a move into turn 1. Rob though, he's looking racy on the back of Preds' Williams coming through the first sector. Missing the apex of turn 3 though, that will compromise his run through the following corners in the first sector, but he's still keeping up. Off through Dunlop curve, not exactly an ideal line. Off the circuit in fact, ever so briefly, and there goes Honda into 7th place. Through the Degners. Honda now has to get past his teammate. Hopefully this won't be too difficult for him. Towards the hairpin, doesn't send it. Stays in behind for now. Seems that everyone is behaving themselves. Not doing anything silly. Gaps are starting to increase progressively. Marino gets a 3-second time penalty, down in 12th place. Damn, that revving glitch is absolutely magnificent to listen to. Oh god. Honda overtaking his teammate, there we go, that's the 6th place now. Just before 130R.
Alright. We're gonna have a battle for the lead right here. Zach sets the fastest lap and he's gonna... Ooh, Daniel's gonna make it tough.
Fairness to Daniel,
yeah, Zach's got it.
He did keep his nose there. He wasn't going to give up. But ultimately he relinquishes the position. Slots in behind his substitute teammate, I suppose. Both of them subbing in. Not exactly proper teammates, I suppose. Justin's now starting to claw onto the back of Dustin Howe. Gap has steadily closed, but not by a massive margin.
And Stewart's actually starting to drop those too, so I think we're getting to the point where the mediums kind of have the upper hand after the 5 laps. Comparative, you're going to see a bigger pace drop in the soft tire, so these mediums are probably feeling a little bit better than these guys on the softs.
See there, Justin under a lot of pressure here from Andrew coming out of Spoon. He looks to the inside, Honda. That's a horrible camera shot, Codemasters. Deary me. Honestly, we're going to have this side-by-side battle before 130R, and the game decides, you know, I want to look straight at the helmet of Justin Labrode. That is brilliant Sky Sports camera work right there. Who said this wasn't an accurate simulation of the F1 2020 season? They're even getting the camera shots right. How awkward they are. Dear me.
Oh, and Rob actually has found his way around Fred, so I know Rob lost a little bit of time with that mistake. I didn't see how he got back up to the back of Preds, but he's around him, and I think Maddie's closing in on the 2 of them, so.
Meanwhile, Andrew's now closed onto the back of Dustin. I believe you're right, these soft tyres are starting to switch off. Medium tyre is now the better tyre to be on. What's the pit window for the soft tyres if you want to go onto the mediums?
Yeah, about lap 9 is the earliest you could go. Might see some guys stretch it to lap 10 to be safe. I wouldn't go much further than that. You put yourself in extreme puncture territory. I did 13 laps on the softs in nationals. My second stint, that was with a safety car, so would have been 11 laps without the safety car, and they were ready to pop, we'll say.
Okay. So we might be seeing some pit stops happen in a couple of laps time. It's now lap 8 of 27 here at Suzuka. Honda's on a charge. I wouldn't expect anything less. Justin Laprode's in.
Justin's in early. This might be to go to the hards. And yes, that is, so he's going to go conservative.
This can work. He does get an undercut on all the soft runners around him. And with the clear air, if he's got enough confidence in himself to just set some really fast, consistent lap times, he might give himself a good amount of track position here. But he needs to nail these laps. He really does need to nail these laps. Sector 1 yellows, that's Meribus.
Yellow flag.
Oh, don't go onto the racing line. Oh, good. Very good. But another incident in the first sector. Ooh, Justin almost touched the curb there, a Dunlop curve. Zero dear. Matthew on the back of Preds. So the battle for 7th place is on. And already Honda is within 1 second of Stuart Leslie.
Yeah, Stuart's got to be thinking, you know, this guy starts at the back and it's only 9 laps before I got to deal with him.
That is insane. He's got DRS
Dustin's in
too.
early as well.
About 1 lap
so,
earlier.
Yeah, a little bit early. Yeah, he might be able to stretch those though. Oh, is Matty and Preds side by side in turn 1 and 2? Who's gonna back out? Matty decides to.
Probably a wise thing to do with that sort of situation. Dustin comes out in front of Justin as well, and Honda gets past Stewart before the Degners. So he's now into P3 already, which is effective P1 if we take out the reserves. Considering that Stewart and Honda are on the same strategy as well, that is genuinely for position. No strategy involved in that. Oh dear. Marino coming out of the pits, he's on fresh medium tyres. Planning to go to the end of those, I suppose. Matthew still on the back of Preds.
Yeah, can he make a run at a spoon? It doesn't look like he's close enough. He might be. He might run at a... Oh.
What?
Daniel's retired. I can't see his car though.
I can't see his car. Where is his car? The Renault of Joker has disappeared off our radar.
Huh.
Joker has been abducted by aliens and he's completely disappeared from the racetrack. What? What? Oh, hang on. What's that in the pit lane? Oh, look at the tyre marks at pit entry. And look at that, there's a wheel.
Did he?
And there's a rolling wheel in the pit lane. He must have hit the tyre barrier when coming into the pits. Surely that's what happened.
Oh, I can't see. The game's not showing me the wheel.
Might have to watch back the stream.
I see the marks.
I saw a real... I was riding on board with Meribus into the pits. There was a wheel rolling inside the pit lane. That's that must have happened. He must
not
have
dangerous at all.
He must have hit the tyre barrier on the entry to the pit lane. Maybe he clipped through the map? Maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, I hate to admit it, and I don't want to tell you this, but I've done that before in a league race at Spain, I believe.
I've done it
the
here.
Pit entry wall.
I've done it here, actually. On F1 2019, on the second to last lap, the bump, and it spun me into the tyre barrier on the inside. Very funny.
I think I did it in Spain in 2019 under a safety car. I made a late decision to pit, and I turned into pit and ran right into the end of the tire bundles. So that was embarrassing, but
yeah, no,
I've been made a better person because of it.
I've been in that same boat at this very racetrack, in fact, and I've done it in 2 qualifying sessions as well, at Kota and at Singapore. I've hit the barrier on the outside. But in qualifying, thankfully, I didn't do it in the race. Typically because if I do it in qualifying, I tell myself, right, I need to go really freaking slowly into the pits in the race so I don't do the same thing. But I did it in the race here at Suzuka. It definitely wasn't one of my prouder moments in my F1 career. But, actually, this racetrack, as of recently, has become quite a special racetrack to me. With the changes made, this racetrack for me now, I really enjoy Suzuka. So much so that I actually won my first ever Formula One league race in my entire F1 career. How long ago was that? It was about a couple of weeks ago around here. So some highs and some lows around here at this place. Not much going on.
Maybe some of my master tips are rubbing off on you. You're learning a lot from commentating with me every Sunday night.
From what I've noticed with this track in particular, I never use any gear that is lower than third at any point around this racetrack. Like the hairpin's the slowest corner and I take it in third gear.
Justin LaPrade.
Oh dear.
Spun it.
Oh, and he's on the
he's
hard
kind of in an
tire.
awkward position. Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have any damage.
Back on track.
Thankfully. But, yeah, that's a massive, unfortunate thing there for him. But again, we've seen that so many times through the first sector here. Oh, and Marybus.
Marybus has done it as well. I think the same corner.
As
catch
it.
His tires are.
A bit of drifting there, which you often see in Japan. A bit more awkward drifting, to be honest. But yeah, I find around this racetrack I don't use any gear that's lower than third at any point around here. And the traction zones, they're just so nice to get around. You don't spin up the wheels too much. There isn't too many places to lock up, I found around here as well. And the flow, it just, without that bump, that unsettling, I was going to use a swear word then, I probably shouldn't. But yeah, that unsettling bump at that final corner on F1 2019 just took me completely out of the rhythm of the racetrack. It just, every time I go over it, I would just shit myself, to be honest. And I would worry about it so much. And with it gone, I could just concentrate just hitting my marks around here. I enjoy it so much more in this game. And as a result, I managed to get my first win. So.
It was very awkward. It was a point on the track where it shouldn't have been difficult, but it was. And made for some real awkward times. And yeah, kind of like you said, every time you went over it, you had that sense of nervousness.
Yeah.
And it just
like this, oh god, oh god, don't, please don't.
Yeah,
slide
points
out
where you would have to feel the need to lift a little bit through there when you should, it's easy flat. I mean, that's not even really a corner.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, just a lot of hairy moments over that bump last year in league racing, but yeah, like you said, glad that it's finally gone.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is the first Suzuka race where I've seen the gaps this big. I've seen a Suzuka race where it's been
nobody within vicinity of each other.
Yeah, I find that quite astonishing, really, to see that. I mean, a safety car would be very, very nice. Although I don't want somebody to crash out to cause one, of course. But yeah, at the moment, not much. Hopefully, with the pit stop rotations, we might see a couple of battles here and there. But at the moment, got this sort of obvious 1-2, and Stewart already 9 seconds. 9 seconds behind Honda. Oh god.
Yeah, I think he's in pure ERS conservation, because he's up in the 70s while everybody else is down. I mean, you do have Preds up in the 90s, but guys around, I mean, Maddie's down at 10%, Honda's down at 27, Zach's saving, I mean, he's out in front by about 10 seconds, so no need to burn that up if he doesn't need to. But yeah, I mean, I guess we see Maddie gaining a little bit of time on Stu, but other than that, we don't really have a lot of gaps that are closing.
Not at all. Not from the looks of things. But I guess with the gaps like they are, I don't really expect anything too much to happen. So we might just talk a little bit off topic. How did you find the Bahrain Grand Prix, Michael? Because that was definitely something else.
Yeah, absolutely horrific crash. We got to be real thankful for the FIA and F1's just their commitment to making sure the drivers are safe as they can be. And you see an incident where, I mean, I've never personally seen a crash like that in F1, and even despite all that, I mean, I think you call it an incident that they never really expected to happen, and even through all that, it's pretty much the safety advancements saved the driver's life.
Absolutely.
And he was able to walk away with probably some bumps and bruises, well, most definitely some bumps and bruises, and some, I think some minor burns is what they said, so yeah. No broken bones, no fractures. No. I mean, absolutely incredible.
It is. And I know a lot of people give a lot of praise to the Halo for what it did, and a lot of people said that the Halo saved his life, which you can make a solid argument for, but there are a lot of factors at play, a lot of safety factors at play in that sort of accident. You've got the frontal crash structure as well. You have to talk about, of course, the fire retardant suit. I mean, I was so incredibly surprised of how intact his suit was when he got out. He'd been in that fire for, what, about 10, maybe 15 seconds or so? And it was almost completely intact.
Yeah, it was
some minor scuff burns here and there. I was so surprised how far they come with those suits. And of course the helmet, the Hans device as well. I mean, you could imagine with an impact like that, how much it would shake your head and neck. You know, and of course, praise to the Halo. You know, I think we can comfortably say that the Halo is more or less staying with these cars. We're not changing anything.
We got pit stops for Staunton and Maddie. But yeah, I mean, I mean, that image of Grosjean getting just literally emerging from that ball of flames was incredible to see. I mean, you really got to wonder his urgency there to get out of the car, and then we got to commend the two guys in the medical car that were on it literally as soon as they, I mean, 5-10 seconds after the crash, they were there and pretty much jumped into the ball of flames to, you know, do what they had to do to make sure he was safe. So, yeah. And despite all that, the rest of the race, we saw Stroll get torpedoed. So the two Aston drivers will both know what it feels like to get shunted by Kvyat.
They had that same shared experience of getting shafted by the torpedo.
Yeah.
That was a very interesting role that Stroll had to end up.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a lazy roll, kind of like the one that Hulkenberg had in Abu Dhabi last year. Or was that 2 years ago?
No, that was last year. That was last year.
Yeah, the one he said he was hanging there like a cow.
I believe that was last year.
So yeah. And
or was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think that was last year. don't know. Regardless, rest of the real life Bahrain GP, I don't know. Ferrari was absolutely shocking, which
I couldn't believe how shocking they were. They were nowhere, and then some. They were, especially Sebastian. He was on good form.
He made the comments. Yeah, he made the comments early in the race that he couldn't even recognize the feel of the car from Friday and Saturday, and then at some point he came over the radio and said this car is undrivable. So
yeah, it's interesting.
He's gone full Fernando Alonso with his comments about how bad his car is.
You can put the rocket ship and would still be 11th. Yeah. But, yeah, other than that, there wasn't too much to talk about with the Bahrain Grand Prix. Of course, what happened to Perez, an unfortunate engine failure on his part.
Oh yeah, he went a good half a lap with a blown engine.
That also caught fire. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, that thing was on fire and he was hitting apexes. I think it was on fire because of how long he went with it failing. And the car didn't just... Usually, I'm pretty sure that those cars just shut down the power once it senses a fault, but for some reason it didn't, and he kept going. Hitting apexes with
And he would have been completely oblivious until someone came over the radio, as Christopher has made a mistake at turn 10. He'd just be driving along, minding his own business, and then there's just a fire at the back of his car just raging. Oh, you know, and then the team would obviously come over the radio and say, you've got a fire at the back of your car. And then he would look in his rear view and notice that, yes, indeed, he's got a fire at the back of his car. But, yeah, other than that, you know, Stroll's role, what happened to Perez, what happened to Grosjean, not a great deal happened, it seemed, in that Bahrain race. Seems that I like how Lewis Hamilton said that the race was challenging. I like how he said that.
Yeah, I did see that. I did hear that.
Most straightforward win ever. It was challenging. Fuck off. Just honestly.
Yeah. I don't know if it was him referencing the fact that they all had to get back in the car after seeing an incident like they all seen.
I think it was because
a lot of the drivers...
Oh, Mary Buzz, be careful. Your tyres are completely shot, just be careful when you're going around. He made reference that the Red Bulls were very quick. I mean, he also made the comment that, you know, getting back into the car, not so much the emotional trauma of what happened to Romain, although I'm sure he would have been affected by that, but it was more so the fact that he'd been out of the car for an hour, and it was difficult to find that rhythm again around the racetrack. You know, to get yourself psyched up, ready to go, and to, you know, to know where your braking points are, to hit your marks all the time. As Matthew makes a move on Dustin Howe.
Yeah, Matty's gotten a 5-second penalty. Did he speed in the pit lane? We didn't catch that.
Yeah, coming in, speeding in the pits. 5-second penalty.
Yep, that is the case. So we'll need to pull 5 seconds on Dustin to secure a podium spot. We got yellows for something.
That was for Rob Hadley coming out of the pits, I think.
Interesting.
I don't know why yellow flags would come out for that. That's, yeah, I was interested to hear that Lewis said the race was challenging for him.
Yeah, I know a lot of drivers commented post-race that they were a little unhappy with how extensively they showed replays and different angles of
I believe Daniel Ricciardo's
crash. Yeah, Ricciardo specifically.
Yeah.
Which he has a really valid point there.
Oh,
I mean, even if the driver is okay, it's not exactly something you want to show over and over again when I mean, the drivers are most definitely going to watch the coverage if they have nothing else to do for an hour, so...
Well, and also their curiosity would just drive them to just see what happened, you know. As Dustin is coming into the pits again.
Dustin pits?
Another set of
mediums.
No front wing change, so this isn't for damage. But look at the lead he's got over Pred. He's got enough of a gap. Actually, no, he won't. He might even fall behind the Alfa Romeo of Christopher here.
Oh, I think it's going to be close. It won't even be close.
Oh, sorry, no, that's the other Alfa Romeo. That's Team Marino. Sorry, I thought that was Christopher right in behind. I was looking at the track map. I wasn't looking properly at the leaderboard. So he would come out behind the Williams, who has a penalty as well. So all that Dustin needs to do is to keep up with him, and he will get P5. But I'm sure his goal is to try and overtake him, potentially close in on Matthew. But that gap, 23.6 seconds. With only a couple laps to go, I don't think he'll be able to close that in. Mary Bus, another 3-second tie penalty, dearie me. That's wow. There's absolutely nothing has happened in this race, dearie me. So this will most certainly secure the championship for Honda if he maintains position.
Yeah, at this point, he's going to pick up the effective race win. Zach's done a really good job out in the lead, logging laps for tomorrow. This is my main rival in the championship for tomorrow's group, so not gonna lie, kind of worrying me a little bit how consistent he's been tonight, but
well, he does have a penalty next to
nonetheless.
6 seconds, in fact.
Oh yeah.
So, and that's something that drivers always have to worry about. Like, penalties in this game can be really, really damaging, particularly if there's an unfortunate safety car or something along those lines. Then you're absolutely screwed out of a race. So he will have to worry about that for tomorrow, for sure. Seems like the rest of the field are more or less minding their own business at the moment. The only battle going on is the one for 5th, and already it's been settled with the fact that Preds has got a penalty next to his name, 3 seconds next to his name. All that Dustin needs to do is just pick his moment or just stay in behind.
Yeah, this battle's really all we have to talk about. Other than that, I mean, obviously, really good job from Honda to just kind of easily pick his way through, find himself ahead of Stewart, and just has pulled that gap every lap. And a huge shout out to Matt for it's not easy crashing on your opening qualifying lap and having to regain that composure and just look forward to a good race. And he's quietly made his way through and an effective P3. And he's been, I mean, it's been Honda, Stewart, and Matty on the podium for the last 3 weeks, so that stays consistent. We got a yellow flag.
Yeah, it's Mary Bus again. This
I think
time at the
Mary Bus getting out of the way.
Yeah. Dustin still in behind Preds, perhaps finding it a bit difficult to get past. It is a very difficult circuit to overtake. Well, not if we've been watching Honda this entire time. Then you think this racetrack is an overtaking masterpiece. But you mentioned how easy it was for Honda. I'm surprised how easy it was for Honda. I know I've raced on this racetrack in many different iterations in many different games, and overtaking for me has always been somewhat difficult, particularly when the cars become quicker and quicker and quicker. The opportunities become fewer, but somehow, as Mary Bus has another moment, this time in the S's.
Again.
And it's Black Raiders. Yep. Reset the circuit. Nice.
Yeah, that's a no-no.
I wonder when people get the message. And Dunlop curve. Oh dear. I'll give him credit though. Hasn't destroyed the front wing until now. He's now got a missing end plate on that car. Prior to that point, he had a complete wing.
Oh no, don't pull out in front of him.
Oof.
Oh god.
Bit of heart and mouth moment.
Maddie must have been having flashbacks right there.
But Dustin Howe now into 5th place.
Yeah.
Oh dear. What's his Mary bus up to?
He's having a lot of trouble.
He's having a mare of a race. That's what it is.
Well, I think the tires are quite warm.
Yes.
And he's trying to just power down.
Just be gentle, be patient. Don't do anything silly. Keep going. Closing in towards the end of the race. Just briefly back to real life Formula 1. Are you keen for... Oh! As Preds makes a mistake there at the hairpin and actually loses the position to Rob Hadley.
Yeah, so Rob's gonna have quite the advantage on him, about 2 seconds. But effectively, Rob's got a 5-second penalty as well, so he's got to keep this gap.
Absolutely. But
He's got to keep it to above 2 seconds.
Just briefly back to real life Formula 1. Are you keen for the alternate layout at Bahrain? What they call the
Not
oval?
really. I support a Ferrari driver, so not really looking forward to that one.
Well, yeah, it's lots of high-speed zones,
I don't know.
So it'll be very interesting.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of high expectations, but then again, everybody didn't have a lot of expectations for like Mugello, let's say.
Mm.
A lot of people said that race wouldn't have been very exciting, which I think was made more exciting by some of the huge driver errors.
The big brain plays by some of the drivers.
Yeah, the best safety car restart you've ever seen.
Exactly.
But I mean, I don't want to be negative. I want to go in with a positive outset. But at the same time, if I have no expectations, then it can only be better.
That's true. That is very true. But we're also going to be set for the shortest lap time in Formula 1 racing history when they do the alternate layout at Bahrain. Current record is set by Niki Lauda, I think, around Dijon in France. It's 58 seconds around that track in 1980 something.
Yeah, and I believe Kailami is the only other track for a sub-minute lap time.
I believe so.
If I remember
before
correctly,
they redesigned it, yeah. Whenever they redesigned it.
Yeah, well, I think we'll definitely see a sub 1 minute lap time.
Well, they're saying about 55
it will be exciting
seconds.
in qualifying. Yeah, it will be exciting on the Saturday to see exactly how fast they will be going. But yeah, I think the first couple laps, Preds gets a penalty, so
yeah, that's pretty much his pursuit of
now,
6th place over.
Yeah, he'll have to get around Rob and pull second gap.
But,
and even so, as we come to the final sector for a lot of the leaders, Matt has actually done a good job consistently just to claw some time in on Stu, so kind of a shame that he crashed out in qualifying because it looks like he had the upper hand on Stewart in race pace today.
And actually, Honda's lining himself up for a potential win here. He's closed the gap to...
on track.
Not on track, but through penalties. The gap is
through penalties,
6.3 seconds. Hock has got 6 seconds worth of penalties next to his name. And that gap is steadily closing, 6.1 now. Almost 6 dead. So Hock needs a good final sector here. He's looking vulnerable to lose out to Honda. I know Honda's already got the victory in the bag, but for outright honours, it's on. Coming up through the final part of the racetrack, the gap is just under 6 seconds. Just back over, just back under, just back over. Coming around the final corner. Hock crosses the line in first place, but what do the post-race penalties say? 6.1. Oh, here we go, up and towards the line. Oh my word! 17 one thousandths. Oh
from the
my.
back of the grid against a driver in Zach who is also very, very quick. So great performance by Honda.
Oh, that is such a close finish between the top two. But really, we can only see those kinds of finishes when the penalties come into play. It'd be awesome to see that sort of thing properly on track. But Stuart Leslie
Short.
in P3, Matthew
P2, well, P3, P4.
But, with that finish, I can officially say that Andrew Honda is the America's Sunday Drivers' Champion for this season. He's now got an unbeatable lead in the Drivers' Championship, and this performance really does demonstrate why he is the Drivers' Champion. From qualifying 14th, finishing in second place, 17 thousandths of a second behind the race winner. Of course, through penalties, not necessarily on track, but still. A champion's drive there from Andrew Honda. A fine performance indeed. And Merrybus, after a dreadful race, crosses the line in 13th. I'll round out the finishes here at Suzuka. Not necessarily the most entertaining race I've seen, but you know, we've got to have not entertaining races every so often. Honda, of course, driver of the day. Not every day you see a driver start from 14th, finish second. But of course, once we take the reserves out of the running order, Andrew Honda would have another victory next to his name, with Stuart Leslie in P2 and Matthew Elliott in third place. Another fine performance for him, considering his qualifying crashing out at turn 2 on his first flying lap. But the unofficial results here at Suzuka, it's Hock in first place, with Honda, our newly crowned Drivers' Champion, finishing in second place. Stuart Leslie in third, Matthew Elliott in fourth, Dustin Howard in fifth, Rob Hadley in 6th, Preds in 7th, Christopher in 8th, Justin Laprade finishing in 9th, and Seek Hang rounding out the top 10. Poor Justin, not necessarily the best race for him, considering he qualified in 5th. But still, I suppose, scoring a few points next to his name, so a little bit of a bonus there. And I would love to know what happened to Joker. I have absolutely no idea what happened.
That's still a mystery. I don't think he said anything about it.
There we go. If the stewards need the race director, I've got that covered in the stream. So, and also Honda, of course, fastest lap at 29.013. A very, very quick lap time indeed. Ah, dearie me. Not a bad race. Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, not bad.
But
always exciting to see a couple drivers come from the back and make their way up to the front. Also, just to highlight what Honda's done this season. I mean, ever since he started winning, I don't think he's really stopped, other than Spa, I believe. Cam beat him to the line, so absolutely dominant, kind of Lewis Hamilton-esque. But yeah, congratulations to Honda on his championship. He's got 4 more races to try to go win, which I'm sure the 2 who just joined us aren't really happy about. But yeah, I think we're just waiting on Honda to join. I don't know if we want to start from 3rd and make our way up.
yeah, well, we'll start from 3rd place and we'll make our way up. So I noticed, Matthew, you did join the session. It's nice to have you here. Congratulations on your 3rd place finish. Just take us through what actually happened in qualifying that resulted in you crashing out. Was it just touching the curb, spinning the car out, getting too early on the throttle?
Partly. Didn't get a lot of practice. Little practice race at the beginning. Didn't like the setup, so went to time trial. Worked on that a little bit. Found one I liked, then I hadn't. used it in an actual race yet, so
Okay.
I wasn't quite used to it, and I sent it through turn 1 okay, and then on the exit of turn 2, it just got a little overzealous on the throttle and went out on the curb. But nice result after that, I guess.
But yeah, starting from the back of the grid, if I'm not mistaken, right at the back.
At last.
And to come back to finish.
I thought all my lines were pretty good. I don't think I messed up a little bit at the hairpin. A couple. Watch my language here. I said no shoot moment, so I was kind of happy. And then I was just getting more comfortable as the race went on. The fuel loads got lighter.
No, it was a very fine drive from you. Michael, anything to
add? Great drive from you. I did notice that you kind of, towards the beginning of the race, you kind of didn't really get up there, making up as much spots as Honda did towards the start. So I'm assuming your plan going in was just to follow Honda through. But at what point did you, once he got a little far away from you, were you a little worried that it was going to be a little harder for you to get through that traffic, knowing that you weren't going to have that car in front of you doing the work for you, pretty much?
It's so hard for me to keep up with him. I think I was able to do it one time, and I screwed that up, so I usually just don't even worry about it, and I just drive my own race. And it kind of helps me work on my racecraft, too, because I don't really, as you guys can tell from most of my races, I'm just out there driving pretty much. And end up lucky a lot.
In a world of his own.
Yeah. So I thought it was a good opportunity to work on my racecraft, and I don't think I was too aggressive. I always try to be a little courteous, and it kind of worked out. And then once I saw I was getting closer to Stu, kind of turned up the wick a little bit and really wanted to push. Towards the end of that medium stint, I was really gaining on him, and I just wanted to push so hard, and then wound up getting a 5-second coming out of the pit, so that ruined it. And I thought I could gain on him a little more, but I think he was just so fast on the straights. I was getting him through the first sector, coming out of Dunlop, gaining, and then after that, where you get more straight parts of the track, you just pull back away. But I think it was a pretty good overall race for me. Not having any practice and getting a decent result and working my way up through the field, and I think alternate strategy also played a big part in that. But I will definitely take this one.
Yeah, for sure, man. That was a fine performance, considering what happened in qualifying. It's a fantastic result to end up on the podium. So very well done, Matthew. A fine Japanese Grand Prix for you. But, we'll move on to second place. Stuart, it was a fine performance from you as well. It was a very solid drive. Qualifying might not have gone as you would have hoped, I'm guessing. You qualified on the medium tyres. You were on the soft tyres at the end, but you didn't better your lap time. Just take us through what happened in qualifying and then what happened throughout your Japanese Grand Prix.
Yeah, qualifying, I mean, if you had told me at the beginning of qualifying that I was going to be starting that race in the mediums, I don't know if I would have exactly believed you. I was not intending to start the race on the mediums. Was gonna try and start on the softs, but I set a pretty good lap. Actually, a surprisingly good lap. For me, I think on those mediums, and then yeah, tried to go out on the softs. On my first attempt on the softs, had a brain fart out of the first Degner into the second Degner, and just I didn't hit my shifts at all. And it really screwed me up. I wound up getting a big tank slapper, getting some damage, ruining that lap. But then on the second lap, I don't really remember exactly what happened in the moment. I know Daniel was trying to get out of the way in front of me, and like I was a little bit. I think I got distracted by that, but I don't know if there was dirty air that played a factor, or Matty was he was watching my lap at that point, and he said I might have caught the inside curb, but regardless, just lost it, backed it into the fence, and that's pretty well. That was my only real attempt at the softs. But starting the race on the mediums, I mean, still start fourth. I was happy. I knew that I needed to get Dustin early, though.
Yep.
Maybe I didn't get the best jump off the line either, and I think Justin LeBrod, we were side by side for the first couple of corners, and I had a bit of a hairy moment there. Just the mediums, I tried to do all I could to get him up to temp, but yeah, I mean, the race went on. I got around Justin on that first lap, thankfully, or not Justin. No, I stayed in front of Justin. I got past Dustin, man. And yeah, I mean, pretty much from there on out, it was a pretty boring overall race. Matty was really catching me, especially at the end of the first medium stint. We were talking about it and just the slightly different setups that we had, and yeah, he was really catching me, especially like you said in sector 1. And then we swapped over to the softs, and probably it seemed like the first 7 or 8 laps, most of the stint, he would gain like maybe a few tenths on me in some places, and then I would kind of gain it back in really sector, like the straighter parts of the straighter sectors, and yeah, I think 3 or 4 laps to go, I wound up sticking a couple of wheels into the off the track into the sand, and had a bit of a moment, but I lost some time to Matty, and but I knew that he had the 5 seconds, so I knew I just needed to keep it clean. But I mean, overall, a pretty boring Japanese Grand Prix, I guess. But you know what? I'll take an uneventful race over, absolute chaos. So
yeah, we kind of had to improvise mid-race because there was absolutely nothing going on up and down the field. Luckily, there was somewhat of an eventful real-life Grand Prix that we could actually talk about, so we weren't completely bored out of our minds. But just a quick question. How surprised were you that Honda caught up to you guys so quickly from the back of the grid? Like, that's actually ridiculous, wasn't it?
I wasn't really too surprised at all. I mean, Andrew is he's the class of the field in Sunday night here, and like there's no doubt about that. And I knew that he was going to catch us quick. It was just a matter of when. And when I saw him coming up behind me, I'm like, well, if I try and push this issue too much, I mean, I'm just going to get burned. And yeah, just he's. But what was it like? I think he got past me after like 6 laps or something. 6 or
I think
7. Maybe it was a little longer
7.
than that.
Yeah.
Coming into lap 8, I believe.
Oh, damn it.
There we go.
I was like, maybe I should give myself a bit more credit, but no. Beginning of lap 8, damn. I mean, yeah, he was absolutely lightning, and I believe this locks up the championship for him.
Yes, it
I'm
does.
not mistaken. So if that's the case, a big congratulations to him. He definitely deserves it, and also a big congrats to Matty on the podium as well. We're gonna have a good battle one of these races, Matty and I. One of these races.
You've got a couple of. Oh, you've got Interlagos. That's about it, really. In terms of battling racetracks, so Kota, Rodriguez, meh. Abu Dhabi, meh. No, yeah, pretty much Interlagos is about it. Michael, anything to
add? Yeah, I mean, obviously, after tonight, the championship battle for first is pretty much, 100% sealed up. But the battle for P2 is not completely over. We've seen Cam miss the last few weeks, but you're going to have a pretty decent gap. I think it'll be 70 points going in the last 4 rounds. But considering Cam has been pretty quick when he has been here, is that something that worries you looking towards the last 4 races of the season, and what do you have to do to just seal up that P2 in the championship?
Yeah, I mean, with the 70-point lead, I feel like now it's just on me to make sure I keep it clean and don't get into any trouble. I think that's pretty much all I have to do at this point. But I really do wish the cam was here the past couple weeks, because I know that I feel like after that hiccup that I had sort of in the middle of the season, I had some DNFs and just some. You guys couldn't stop talking about how out of shape my car was looking, so I feel like I feel like some of that stuff has been sort of sorted out and over the past couple of weeks, and I think that we could have had some good battles, or I would have loved to see where my pace was stacking up with Cam's. So it's too bad that he hasn't been able to be here, but hopefully those pedals come in for him soon, and we can have some on-track battles before the end of the season.
No, that was a fine performance from you, Stuart. A bit of an awkward qualifying session, but you managed to make it work out in the end. So congratulations on your second place finish.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did Andrew join the party or not?
He did.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, fantastic. So, Andrew, congratulations on not only the victory, but also securing the Drivers' Championship. Absolutely fantastic job, mate. But before we talk about the championship, we probably best talk about the race. Just take us, why on earth you decided not to qualify, and then your storming performance in those opening laps?
Well, considering I didn't have too many points left to win the championship, I wanted to try something different, and yeah, it was a fun race going through the field. A little bit scary the first couple laps, but after that, it was just a mission to catch Zach. Probably one of the closest finishes of the season with me and Zach.
Far out, that was close.
Yeah.
But, no, that was absolutely superb drive at the beginning of that race. Were you yourself surprised how quickly you managed to cut your way through the field? Because like Stuart said, or as we found out, it took you only 8 laps to catch up to him, and I think at that point that was P3? I think it was the 2 Renaults leading and Stuart in 3rd. So yeah, from 14th to 3rd, around here as well, were you yourself surprised how quickly you got through?
Well, I noticed that I was running a little bit less downforce than the field, because through the back straight, I noticed that I was catching him quickly. The same thing with Zach. I noticed I would stay with him the first and second sector, and then once it came to the 3rd sector, I was gaining like maybe 3/10 on the straight. So I figured those were my opportunities. I think the first couple laps, I made a couple of passes on the same place was at Spoon Curve. So I took advantage of that, and once I made it into clear air, just be consistent with my laps and always looking at the delta up top, because I saw my chances were gone. So just try to keep it on the track and not get any penalties, and take it not to get to the walls either. I lost it a couple of turns too, coming out of the last chicane before the start finish. A couple of mishaps, but thank God it stayed on the track.
But well, Suzuka is a very technically demanding racetrack. It's so easy to make mistakes around there, and even like little mistakes, you might even end up in the barrier, just putting a bit of the wheel on the grass, riding a curb the wrong way, particularly through the first sector.
Yeah, there was plenty of those.
Yeah. But Matthew, anything to add to Michael, anything to add to championship?
I'll add something.
Alright.
Good. Congratulations, Andrew.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much.
Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I'll ask. I mean, I kind of already know the answer to this, because we've talked about it behind the scenes, but showing the performance, the performance you put on all season here in Sundays, and with the Monday group, having the likes of Zach, me, even Bucks at some points, Daniel when he's putting in a lot of time. What are your plans for next season? And you know, what do you look forward to for next season, looking ahead?
So plans for next season is I'm gonna be dropping Sundays, and I'm gonna be moving up to Monday nights at 9 with you guys, and I think it'll be a little bit closer battles, and challenge some of the top guys, challenge you, Zach, you know, Bucks. Be a lot more closer racing, and yeah, hopefully take the championship next season. But there's a lot of quick guys, so who knows, you know? A lot of quick guys.
It's been a superb performance.
Sorry, we're not quick enough for you, buddy.
No, you guys are quick.
It's been a superb season performance from you, Honda. A dominating one, to put it even briefly. It's been absolute domination from your part. So very, very well done, and a deserving championship to you, mate. Well done.
Thank you.
And I think that just about wraps it up here at Japan. That concludes round 16 of this championship. Next round, as you might have heard me mention, time to go to United States of America, to Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Another Tilcadrome, the second last we go to in the championship. It's in Abu Dhabi. It should be, well, I pray that it's going to be a good race. I have seen good races there on the occasion, but sometimes it can be just a little bit boring at Circuit of the Americas, but hopefully it will be a good one for next week. But again, thank you, Michael, not Matthew, Michael, for joining me in the commentary box. It's a pleasure to have you alongside me once again. But yeah, tune in next week. Should be a fairly entertaining race, seeing as we don't have a championship to worry about anymore either. It's pretty much a straight up dogfight between everyone now, so that should be very, very interesting to watch. But anyway, I've been the Smeg, my co-commentator for tonight's race, once again, Michael Guerrone Jr., and we'll see you all next week for the United States Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas. Until then, good night.